I'd like to welcome you this evening. My name is Barbara Polanski. I'm a member of the governance board of this chapter, and I am honored and very happy to introduce our guest speaker this evening, Dave Maurer, who is retired from the U.S. Army as a lieutenant colonel. Dave currently serves as the National Program Director for the Military Transition Assistance Program with Inverness Technologies and is a Vice President with Axiom Resource Management, both in Northern Virginia. He is a current board member of the Quantico chapter of the Military Officers Association of America and is a former board member of this PMI chapter, as well as the Washington chapter of the Association of the U.S. Army and of the USO of New York City. While serving our nation for 22 years as an active duty Army officer, Dave held dozens of leadership positions in the U.S. and abroad. He also served as the executive assistant to the Director for Manpower and Personnel on the Joint Staff at the Pentagon. In addition to his career, he is very proud of his 3 sons, 2 of whom, bad move on my part. 2 of whom serve our nation as active duty soldiers. Dave has delivered countless, and I mean countless, presentations on leadership, ethics, negotiation, and project management to the World Bank, the CIA, the FBI, West Point, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, several PMI chapters, and on and on. Dave Gerber previously gave a plug for the book, Are You the King or Queen of Conflict and Project Management, of which Dave co-authored, and they will be selling that after this evening's program. And of course, Dave is a PMP, of course. Have you ever been to a conference where people are standing 5, 6, 10 people deep at the back of the room and crammed outside the door, and you wonder, who is in there speaking? What are they saying? That speaker is Dave Maurer, and you should be very lucky that you have a seat tonight for this program. It is therefore my privilege, and again, great honor, to introduce Dave Maurer. Please join me in giving him a very warm welcome to this evening.
Yes, just like I wrote it. No, honestly. Thank you so much, Barbara, for doing that. I appreciate it. How's the volume? Is that okay? Can you hear me okay? Well, there's no place I'd rather be than right here, right now. This is a great privilege to actually be up here on the stage, to be able to address 300 and some people at a PMI dinner. For a long time, Barbara mentioned I was on the board here. I had Jim's job. Don't envy you, Jim, of running the programs, trying to get quality speakers. Jim has done a great job right up until today. So give him a round of applause for all the great job he's done. We're going to break your streak right now. It is a great privilege to be here, to be able to talk to so many people at one time. What I wanted to do tonight was talk about project management and project leadership and management and leadership in general, with a little different flavor, a little different slant. Did anybody drive here tonight? Yeah, I thought so. Nobody choppered in or was airlifted in. Everybody drove here. So you'll understand where I'm going with this. We're going to talk about the drive of the leader. We're going to talk about, metaphorically, and there's a lot of metaphors here. In fact, the next hour is going to be full of metaphors, so stay with me. I looked at some road signs. I'm a road warrior. We're going to talk about that in a minute. First of all, here's the first sign I came across. And it occurred to me that, gee, I could look at some of these signs every day as I drive to work, and I drive from Stafford, Virginia to McLean. Yeah, exactly. So I had a lot of time on my hands to think about this trip. And one of the first signs I've seen was this one, and it reminded me that work is really no picnic. And if that's true, then there are a lot of signs that we see every day that might remind us of just what we need to know about work, the life of a project manager, the life of a project management team member. A lot of people confuse me with Mel Gibson. This really is Mel Gibson, okay? It's not me. But one of the things that or three villains that Mel never had to deal with, that I bet all of you have dealt with, are these 3 characters, okay? I know I've dealt with them quite a bit. A wise man once said, you never really learn how to swear until you learn how to drive. That doesn't apply to anybody in here, right? Who was the one that cut me off, by the way, on the... So I'm a road warrior. Many people in here are road warriors, am I right? Are you proud? Are you tired? Yes. Well, we're going to talk about the road warrior and what it takes to be a road warrior. I've commuted for a long time. When I was in the military, my last assignment was at the military academy at West Point, New York. Has anybody ever been to West Point? Anybody graduate from West Point? Okay, I'll speak real slow. The rest of us went to real school, okay? But actually, I was honored to be on the staff at West Point for 3 years before I retired. And my office to my house was 2.5 miles with one yield sign. And if it took me 5 minutes to get home, I wasn't happy. And then I retired, and I came down here, back to D.C., where I'd been many times. And it wasn't exactly the same kind of road trip in the morning. So here I am driving from various places in Woodbridge, where I lived, up to Bethesda and Stafford and out to McLean and Falls Church. And it occurred to me that maybe I can learn something from this drive. Rather than just be unhappy about this drive every day, back and forth, maybe I could look at some of these road signs. So the commute, the coffee, and the boredom all led to this presentation you're going to see tonight. And after all, we're all trained and experienced drivers. We don't need to pay that much attention to what's going on every day on the road. I had more time and more road than I had coffee, so I had time to think about these things. And it occurred to me that these weren't just signs for the trip. These were signs for life, signs for our project management life. Because after all, aren't these signs rules for the road and directions and advice and warnings? And don't we need that in our work life? I think we do. And maybe we can learn something from some of these signs. So let's take a trip and we'll try to keep moving forward. This is my view of the road. Did anybody have a similar view? Now, those of you that text, now I know it's not legal in Virginia anymore. I don't do that anymore. There's a wink up here. Those of you that text and maybe drink coffee on the way or maybe on the cell phone, this is more like a review of the road in the morning. Yeah, I got that. Sure, I understand. Driving with one knee. So when you see me driving on the way to work, it's probably good to give me some good wide berth. I'd love to see this sign on the way to work in the morning, wouldn't you? I don't know about the love and romance, but I couldn't delete that part. But the first part there, may be trouble ahead. Wouldn't that be a great warning sign in the morning on our way to the office? Because it's usually true. And it occurred to me that as we go through our drive and our commute to and from work, particularly to work, that there are a lot of sources of information, aren't there? And who listens to the radio on the way to work? A lot of folks? AM? Listen to the traffic report, WTOP? I wanted to have Lisa Baden come here tonight. Didn't I toy with this idea? To have Lisa Baden. Everybody knows Lisa Baden. And I wanted to start the program with about a 5-minute tirade of all the traffic tie-ups in the morning, and then introduce, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of WTOP, Lisa Baden. But I didn't do that. But there's lots of information we can get, lots of sources of information that we're privy to in the morning that help us get to work, help us do our job, which is, at that point, just to get there safely. And there are sources of information for us as project managers and project team leaders. Yesterday's experience is a good one. As I drive to work and I see that, gee, there's a traffic tie-up on 95 today because they're doing construction on the shoulder of the road. Maybe I don't want to go this way tomorrow. Maybe I'll take Route 1. That's always a good alternative, isn't it? Sure. Nothing like traffic types with red lights. That's what I like. But there's all kinds of information that we can use. Sometimes we're not very open to it. How many of us just listen to tunes on the way to work in the morning? Who has XM radio? Who's listening to the comedy channel along with me? Okay? That's the way to start the day. But you're missing out on the traffic report, and you're wondering, why am I stuck in traffic? And then that's why, because you weren't paying attention to the signs. You weren't paying attention to all this outside intelligence that you get. And after all, this guidance is always clear. This makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? No pets allowed, all pets must be on a leash. I found a few of these. I'm not sure if I want to be in the car lane here. That's not a good thing. Who dreamt up that sign? Not a project management professional, that's for sure. I don't know what to do here. Remember that movie, League of Their Own? Who remembers the movie League of Their Own? Remember the girl's up to bat and she's getting mixed signs and she doesn't know whether she should take her go or take her. That's kind of what you do when you see that sign. I don't know whether you hit the gas or hit the brake. This one, I don't know if you can read that. Who can read that? I can't read that. No signs allowed in this area. It's on a sign. I don't. This one's good. Caution, water on road during rain. Well, thank you for that. That's useful information. And this one, this is for the Y generation. I don't know. Those of you out there, I'm not sure which way you should go here. Clear instructions do last a long time. This kind of reminds me of the project sponsor or project director that says, this is the rule, you will not vary from it, and I'll see you next year. So don't try to think on your own, don't try to change anything. For the next 416 miles, this is the rule, and you will obey. Anybody ever a project like that? Oh, just me. Okay, just me. So here we go with some merge signs. And I'm not talking about the corporate merge here. I'm talking about collaboration with one another. So when I see the sign, and when you see the sign from now on, maybe you won't look at road signs quite the same way anymore. You'll be thinking about project management, right? Right? Yes, this is the interactive part. Okay. We're talking about using your supporting cast, using all the people on your team, merging to get the job done. We can't do it alone. Those of us that have been project directors or project managers realize that, look, I can't do all this. It's a team. It's a project team effort. And if I don't engage everybody on that project, I'm not going to be able to meet all the demands and all the requirements of that project. And that's difficult to do. We're going to talk about trust and responsibility and delegation a little bit later, too. But that's what I think about is collaboration and coordination when I see that merge. How can we all come together to work together towards this goal, this set of deliverables that we have? You know, in England, they call speed bumps sleeping policemen. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I don't think we get away with that here. Do we have any police officers in the room with us? No, they're all at my car at the moment. Okay. I am illegally parked, so I'm just going to be really brief. But they're called sleeping policemen, speed bumps. And when I think about speed bumps, I remember that we have those every day, don't we? Don't we have speed bumps in our lives, in our work lives? Don't we sometimes think that they're brick walls, that we need to go around them? We have to devise new methods to get where we're going because we've got the speed bump. Somebody didn't sign up in time. Somebody didn't get the memo. Somebody didn't attend the meeting. The sponsor didn't give clear direction. We hit a speed bump. Doesn't mean we stop. It means we need to adjust and continue to move forward. They're not roadblocks, and they need to be overcome. Ah, the yield sign. This is perhaps the toughest for many of us. I'll speak for myself. Tough for me. As Barbara mentioned in the intro, I was in the Army for 22 years. And you get to a certain point in your anybody else been in the service? Raise your hand, be proud. How about a round of applause for the people that have been in the service? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but most of us that have been in the military don't tend to yield too much. We don't like yielding, do we? To subordinate yourself. We have a rank structure that allows us to do that when needed. But out here in the civilian world, in the project management world, there are times when you need to subordinate yourself. You need to let someone else take control. You let someone else take the lead, and you find yourself in a subordinated role. Those of you who have listened to Dave Gerber, who was here earlier, anybody remember this acronym? WAIT? Extra credit. Why am I talking? Well, that's a rhetorical question for me at the moment, okay? But when Dave talks about this, why am I talking? It's about active listening. It's about working together collaboratively with one another on a team and letting someone else take the lead, letting someone else take control of that meeting, letting someone else take control of that set of deliverables. Why am I talking? Remember that acronym. If you remember nothing else, wait. Maybe I need to let someone else do some talking for a while. My mother always told me, and your mother probably told you, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we're supposed to listen twice as much as we speak. That does not apply to me for the next 60 minutes. But sometimes we need to think about that yield sign. Are we doing everything we can collaboratively? Are we doing everything we can to let someone else take control? When they need to take control, it's not always about us. Sometimes it's about other people in the group. And we see a caution sign. First of all, you got to like my use of PowerPoint, huh? A lot of time devoted to this. I enjoyed every second of this. There's nothing more fun than putting a PowerPoint presentation together when you can animate your slides and use road signs. I mean, it kept me out of doing my real job. So here we are talking about caution, trust and risk. I've heard some people say that trust and risk are two sides of the same coin. Because if you trust somebody to do their job, aren't we putting ourselves at some risk as the project leader? I think we are, and I think it's important that we do that occasionally, and we take that leap of faith, that we allow that subordinate perhaps to take that lead, that we trust them to do the good job, that we're there to support them, but we're willing to take that risk. So when I see the caution sign, I think about trust and risk and letting some others take the lead away from us. Fog area. Do we ever have a fog area in our project world? Sometimes I think we need some clarity, okay? Those of us been in the military, we talk about the fog of war. You hear it on CNN all the time, fog of war. How things change as soon as the first shot is fired. We have project management plans, right? Right? We have project management plans? So the right answer is yes. And when do we write those? Right at the end of the project, right? We're sure it's going to be right. Followed exactly just as it went. Write the conclusion first, right, Larry? Now, by the way, who went to Tools this evening? Nothing like following a guy that teaches how to do public speaking. No pressure. I don't even want to see you after this. I'm going to leave by the back door. But Larry, thanks for being here and for presenting that great presentation. The fog of war, the fog of what we do, we don't always have clarity. We don't always know exactly what we're supposed to be doing, do we? We have a project charter, we have milestone charts, we have all kinds of directives that tell us what we're supposed to be doing, but they're rarely congruent with one another. Or is it just me? There are often questions. There are often a lot of questions about, well, what should we be doing now? How does this relate to what the other group is doing? There's a lot of fog and a lot of lack of clarity in our world. So we rely on best practices. Best practices is a way to get through that fog, cut through that fog, that lack of clarity, so we know what to do next, or we at least have a good experience base to go by. And of course, having good leadership in charge of that project helps tremendously. We have to learn to ask questions when we're project managers or project team members of our leadership, of our project sponsors, of those that are waiting for those deliverables, government clients, in most cases for many of us. Ask that leadership the next step. What should we be doing? What do you want? What do you need? Otherwise, we end up lost in this fog, and we're taking shots at what we think is the next deliverable, and we're sometimes not going to make it. And we're spending a lot of time, energy, and money when we should be getting some clarity. So I looked at the guardrails, and they tend to establish boundaries for us. Helps us focus, provides some clarity of purpose. Certainly provides us some safety. And my favorite is, if you've ever bumped into a guardrail at 75 miles an hour on 95, it allows you to redirect your effort. And there are times when we need to do that as well. There are parameters for all of our projects, all the things that we do, guidelines, scope statements, and they never change. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, this is the time for the laughter. No, they never change. Of course not. Of course they change all the time. And those parameters, when they change, that's a chance for us to redirect our effort. So I think about guardrails as some of our scope statements. Time to reduce speed. I had a friend of mine that used to say, it only takes a minute if you wait till the last minute. I've tried to live my professional life by that motto. When is this due? Thursday at noon? Thursday at 11, I will get cracking on it. And it will only take me a minute, or in this case an hour, and it's done. There are times when we can take more time to do it right, and we can slow down, and we can reduce speed. My wife, who's here, always says, take the time to smell the roses. I said, hon, I didn't even know we had roses. I drive by them on the lawnmower or push the mower past them, and she said, did you see the beautiful flowers? I said, yeah. I think they're underneath the lawnmower. Didn't have time, trying to get it done, trying to move quickly. There are times when we can reduce speed. So when you see that reduced speed sign, think about your speed. Are you going at the speed of light? Not only getting to work, but at work, doing the things that you do? can you take the time to slow down, think about what you're doing, talk to your teammates, talk to your colleagues, get to know them, get to know what's driving their train, and what do you need to do as the project leader to help them achieve everything they need to achieve? I also had a boss that said, don't confuse speed with progress. A lot of people are running around at 90 miles an hour and not getting anything done. Have you ever seen that? Anybody have a government client? For those of you who are government clients, I apologize. I used to be one, so I can say it. Just because you're moving fast doesn't mean you're moving forward. Okay? There are times when you need to assess what you're doing, not just how fast you're doing it. Okay? School zone. What might I be thinking of with a school zone? Anybody? Yeah, our kids. What else? Somebody said it here. Don't stop learning. Continuous learning. Did you see this presentation before? And that's what we're here for tonight. Okay, now we get PDUs, we move forward, and we continue to earn credits. We go to classes, we go to seminars, we go to workshops, and we continue to master our profession. Not everybody does that. It's important that we do that. Most of us have lots of reading material next to on our nightstands, a book here, a magazine article there. It's important that no matter what age we are, that we continue to educate ourselves and learn more about our profession, more about leadership, more about managing resources, more about everything that we're called upon to do as professionals in this world today. It doesn't stop when you get your master's degree. It certainly didn't stop when you got your PNP. And those of you that have a PNP know it doesn't stop because you're continuing to get PDUs. At least we have a profession that requires us to continue to learn, and that's a good thing. Education and training. I love this. I always use it all the time. There's what we know, what we don't know, and what we don't know, we don't know. You know? Well, what we know. Today is Tuesday. What we don't know is if it's raining outside right now. It was raining earlier, by the way. What we don't know is, are we going to make it home okay? Is everything going to be okay when we get home? Is Brett Favre actually going to play football this year? There's a lot of things we don't know. Okay, and I'm an Eagles fan, so I've got my own issues right now. Thank you for that. I thought it'd be fun if, for my football fans here, I thought it'd be fun if the Eagles went to Cleveland and actually played in the dog pound. I'm a cat owner, okay? The last dog that was at my house ran through my screen in the screened-in porch and is not welcome back, even though it's my son's dog. And I think some people do need school, okay? There's a point where you just need to continue to learn, particularly how to spell the word school. Looks like a big paperclip too, doesn't it? I don't know if that's just me or not, but everybody should go to shul whenever they have a chance, I think. And the stop sign, okay? It doesn't mean you're going to stop permanently. It means you're going to stop. And what do we do when we're told when we're kids, when we get to a stop, when we get to the street? Look both ways. Don't we need to do that in our professional lives too? Isn't it important to know who's on our left and who's on our right? Who are our colleagues? Who's working on project B and D so our project A can move forward? Isn't it important to stop once in a while and coordinate and take the time to work with one another, work collaboratively? Sometimes before critical decisions, it's good to stop and think for a minute, I would think, isn't it? Sometimes we move too quickly. And not only smell the roses, but sometimes we just need to stop and think. Is this the right next move? Is this the best thing we can do? Go back to best practices. Go back to yesterday's experience. Call on our own gut instincts. I'm in my 50s now, and there's a few good things about turning 50. Not many, but there's a few. And one is you get to know yourself pretty well, okay? And you get to trust your instincts a little bit more. You trust them in your 40s, but when you get in your 50s and beyond, as my older sister tells me, she's not here tonight, but she'll probably get to see this, so this one's for her. When you get to be older than that, you get to trust your own gut instincts. And you know what? They're usually right. They're usually right. If it doesn't feel right, doesn't smell right, doesn't sound right, it probably isn't right. So before you make those critical decisions, Take the time to pause. Take the time to stop and think about it. And we talk about difficult conversations a lot. Anybody ever have a difficult conversation? I don't mean with your spouse, because it's, what time is it? It's 10 after 8. I probably haven't had my last difficult conversation for the day. But at work, anybody ever have to fire somebody? Anybody ever have to lay somebody off? How about a negative counseling? Is that a difficult conversation? You betcha. And it's a good time to think about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it and what it means without just jumping into it. Take the time to stop and think during those times. Because taking that time does lessen the risk, I think, for all of us. I see these fuel signs. You're going to see a sign here in a minute that you'll laugh at. And I had some colleagues here from a previous assignment that just because you're out of gas doesn't mean you're there, okay? We had a client at one time who said, well, you had 12 months. We're done. 12 months has come and gone, and you're done. No, we're not done. We haven't gotten to the objective yet. We haven't met all the deliverables. We haven't done what the mission stated. Just because it's 12 months doesn't mean we're done. Well, I was wrong. I guess it did mean that we were done. But there are times when, as project leaders, we need to get with the program and tell those clients, tell those sponsors, just because we're out of fuel doesn't mean we're at our destination. If you're driving from here to California and you get to middle of Pennsylvania and you're out of gas, that doesn't mean the trip's over, does it? It means you need to refuel and you need to keep on going. We could do that many ways. We can add funding, we can play with staffing, we can change the scope statement, we can add more time, more energy, more people. This is how old this slide is. That's not even a bad price right now, okay? I think it's $243 now. Okay? But the arm and the leg still do apply. There are times when we just need to refuel. We need to re-energize. And if you're a project leader, guess whose job that is? Yours. You own it. What do you need to do to refuel your company, your project team? Re-energize them. Is it more of these things, or is it just more of you? Maybe more of your time, more of your attention. We'll talk about that a little bit too. This is one of my favorite. Stay in your lane. If anybody has ever been told, stay in your lane, I'm the second one. And I've told some people to stay in your lane as well. What do I mean by it? Well, there are times when people want to help you do your job. Anybody ever experienced that? Just want to help you so much to do your job. You know, if I were you, I would do this, 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 and this. You should try this, this, and that. Why don't you do this, this, and this? Well, thanks so much. Stay in your lane. You have your job, I have mine. There are times when we might be tempted to do that as well. Gets back to some of our subordinate activities, right? When we trust someone else to do the job, we're subordinating ourselves. We want to continue to get into their lane. We've given them the mission. We've given them the trust and confidence to do it. And yet here we are trying to tell them how to do it. Doesn't always work. There are times when we have to take care of our own business and pass with care. Wait for that double yellow line to break up. And you know when they need help, and you can offer help. You can make an offering instead of just saying, this is what I would do, this is what you need to do. Sometimes it's all in how you frame it. And when we're project leaders, even project teammates, sometimes I'll speak for myself, I want it done this way. I've done this before. I know how to do it. Daggone it, this is how you should do it. And it's not going to work. Anybody have kids, teenagers? And it doesn't always work when you say, look, I'm smarter than you. I've been around longer than you. I'm twice your age. You can learn from my mistakes, or you can go ahead and learn from your own. And they say, oh, I'll just learn from my own. Okay, and that's what they do. There are times when they're looking at you, and what they're thinking is, Dad, Mom, stay in your lane and let me make my own choices. And then you can always come back and say, I told you so, so it's not too bad. Children at play. Ooh, what could I be thinking of here in the workplace? We don't have children in the workplace. They're everywhere. And they dress like adults, okay? Most times. Sometimes they don't. You should put this sign up at most offices, I think, in many cases. But what do children need? Now think about this as parents. Those of you who aren't parents, had parents. Most of us in here had parents at one time, okay? I think I can stretch and say that for a fact. And what do children need? And I don't mean this, I'm making a joke here, but I don't even mean it in a pejorative way. They're not children, but children and people that work for us sometimes have similar demands. And they're pretty simple. And we're among them, by the way, because we all have bosses as well. Okay? And we demand attention. Okay? We need direction and advice. Sometimes we ask for it, sometimes we just think you know that we need it. Sometimes those folks need to fail and keep trying and get motivated by you and by others. And they need your encouragement. One of the things I discovered in my 50s, actually in my late 40s, was that I need encouragement. It's a failing of mine. I shouldn't need that at my age, in my station in life. I shouldn't need somebody to say, hey, Dave, good job. This is the part where I'd like you to say, hey, Dave, good job. Not the most enthusiastic I've ever had. But I tell you, when I was in the military, I was up at West Point. I was on the staff at the military academy, one of the greatest assignments you could ever have. I left there, I believe, kicking and screaming. And I had a boss that I loved and who really got along. We got along great. He was a colonel, Army colonel. He was the chief of staff. And we just got along famously, Colonel Windsor. What a wonderful guy. And he would tell me all the time, Dave, just great. What a great staff. What a great job. And he would put fuel in my tank. And I didn't realize it, but that really kept me going. And then he left, as what happens in the military. We used to say, no assignment's that bad. In 18 months, either you're going to leave or your boss is going to leave. It doesn't happen that much out in the civilian world, I have found out. Sometimes it's years before your boss gets to leave. But in any event, he left and a new colonel came in, new chief of staff, great guy, wonderful man, brilliant guy, and just was not one of those folks that knows how to say thank you or was very emotional or very, I don't know, didn't demonstrate caring very much. Good guy, nice guy, capable guy. 6 months go by and I am getting really paranoid because I haven't been told how wonderful I am in 6 months. And I mean paranoid. I mean, I can't go to a football game because when they get in the huddle, I know they're talking about me. Okay? So I went to the boss and I made some reason I had to go talk to him and I said, oh, and I got up to leave and I said, oh, by the way, sir, how am I doing? And he looked at me like I had 9 heads. I said, I just need to know how I'm doing. He said, you're doing great, you know, and gave me all the answers that I'd hoped for. And he said, you know, I'm just not really good at that. I'm not good at that. I said, it's no problem. I'm good at asking. I'll be back in 6 months. And I did. And I went back to my staff and I was able to tell them, hey, the boss thinks we're all doing great. Lots of kudos for you. I felt better. They felt better. Sometimes we're not real good at that. If you're not real good at that, get good at that. It doesn't take any time to say thank you. Does it mean anything? I've heard, 80% of the people say, I love getting thanks. 20% say it doesn't matter, and 20% are lying. I think it's important for all of us as humans to be recognized for what we do. Even recognize if I don't do it well, at least you're watching. At least you're paying attention. At least what I'm trying to do is of some importance. So make the effort. Say thank you to somebody that did something for you. You don't have to have a parade. You don't have to give a letter, but just say thanks. Nice job. Good speech. Good presentation. Good letter. That was a tough decision. Now, and I'll share one with you. Has anybody ever said that to their boss? You have to be careful here, okay? But we have bosses, most of us, who don't get a lot of credit. They're making all the money. They're living in the big house. They've got the big corner office. Heck with them. Heck with them. But you know what? There's nobody giving them any fuel in their tank. That money only goes so far. That corner office only means so much. Once in a while, catch your boss doing something tough, doing something right, and choose your moment wisely and say, you know what, ma'am or sir, that was a tough call. Good on you. And then walk away. That's all you got to do. You can't do it every day or you're going to have another problem, okay? Believe me, I tried it, okay? No. But you have to do that. You really have to pick your moments when you should tell your boss, I'm recognizing that was a tough thing to do, or that was a good thing to do. Thank you for doing that. That's all you got to do. And you're going to put fuel in their tank, and it's going to come back to you. What else do our folks need? They need discipline, okay? They do. Sometimes you need a talking to. Sometimes I needed a talking to. I was raised by an Army colonel and Catholic nuns. Think about that. When I went into the Army, there was no drill sergeant could scare me. Okay? I knew what discipline was, and I tried to instill that in my 3 kids. Sometimes I think we did okay. Sometimes I'm not so sure they were paying attention. 2 of them did. They both went in the Army. 2 of them went in the Army. And they need love. And yes, our staff, our people that work for us need love. And you know what I mean. They need our attention. They need to know that they're being recognized. They need to know that you care about them. And you can do that in any number of ways. I'll leave that to your own devices. You know what I'm talking about. Remember, who knows the golden rule? Remember the golden rule? Do unto others. Who knows the platinum rule? As they would like to be done unto. I can't vouch for the English, okay? But do unto others as they would like to be done unto. You got to get inside someone else's head. I'll talk about my kids a little bit here. I've got 3 sons, 2 on active duty. 1 left for Iraq yesterday. Second tour overseas, did Afghanistan, did Korea. He's 23. Okay. That's his mother. And that's why I wear this little pin, this little blue star pin, and wear it every time my kids are deployed. Just to say every time my kids are deployed sounds kind of strange. This is his 2nd deployment. His older brother was in Iraq for a year early on in the war, and he's going back in February. So we're going to have 2 of them over there at the same time. So keep them in your thoughts, all of our soldiers. I forget where I was. Shouldn't have talked about my kids. The platinum rule, thank you. Do unto others as they would like to be done unto. My son comes back from Iraq, got a family. Do you think he wants a $1,000 bonus or 30 days leave? 30 days leave. You know, you have to understand what motivates people. They're not all motivated by the same thing. I once told a boss, you don't need to give me any more money. I thought I was a little crazy at the time, but I said, you know, I really, that's okay. I'm not at the poorhouse. I'm not living day to day. But give me a seat at the big table. Let me help make decisions. I like that office. Give me that title. Give me this business card. Let me be a player. It's not all about the dollars. And unfortunately, he believed that and believed every word of it, as a matter of fact, and treated me exactly as I'd asked to, because that was more important to me. Think about how you treat the folks around you, those that work for you, or how you're treated by those that you work for. And it's not one size fits all, is it? Sometimes you have to think about what motivates those around you and give them what they need. Most of all, they need your example. One thing I learned in the military, one thing I think I learned from my dad, and I think we taught our children, is you're setting an example every time you go to work. Anybody think that when you go to work, people don't notice what time you got there, what you were, what you're wearing, how you carry yourself, how long you go for lunch, how you conduct yourself at a meeting? People are always watching. We're always watching. So it's important to set the example. In the Army, you say you're on parade 24 hours a day. Shine your shoes, look sharp all the time. My kids come home on leave, and they tend to not want to shave. It drives me insane. I always say the barbershop's open and the razor's in the drawer. If I can help you out, I'm here. That's why I'm your dad. Oh, it's just our little protest. And I remembered, I think I used to do that too. It's the first thing I did when I retired. Grew a beard. Why? Because I could. And I needed to. Took a picture of it 3 days later, shaved it off. Couldn't do it anymore. Just didn't feel right. So dead ends. We'll move a little quicker here. What happens when you see a dead end? Okay? Sometimes we don't learn from our mistakes, okay? Curiosity killed the cat, we heard that one. Even though we know this is leading to a dead end, sometimes we just don't believe it. And we just drive on down the dead end. There must be some secret answer to everything. The fountain of youth must be at the end of this. And yet we see the no outlet sign and we're just so curious we do it. And I think in our professional lives there are times when we don't learn from past experience. We don't learn from that dead end sign. We don't learn from somebody else who tried and failed. We got to do it ourselves. Again, I bring us back to parents of teenagers. All right, we have to do it ourselves. There are times when that mission is over, when that project is over, and it's time to exit. And I know we've all heard this. It's time to celebrate successes. Anybody ever been at the end of a project and celebrated the success of that project? Does it feel good? It feels great. You feel like you've crossed the finish line. You feel like you've won the race. At least you fought the good fight. At least you've met the mission. Too often we don't do that. We take it for granted, particularly as project leaders or project sponsors. Well, we're done. We'll move on to the next one. Take the time to celebrate those successes. Even if you're not the project lead, if you're a project member, take the lead by example, and organize some kind of small celebration. You can have pizza, go out for a beer, do something to recognize we did it. I go back to my gas, my fuel sign. It adds fuel to your tank. And end the project when it needs to be ended. I've been in projects where, we didn't want to end it. We were having a good time. We could always add on something to this project. We could make this even better. I think we call it gold plating, right? Well, we weren't even interested in gold plating. We just didn't want to break up the band. We were having a good time. We were like the Blues Brothers. We wanted to keep things going. Well, there's a time and a place, but sometimes you just need to end it and move on. You've done everything you could for that project. The hidden driveway sign. Hidden what? No one has hidden agendas out there. So that's what I thought of when I saw the hidden driveway. Yeah, there are some folks out there that are kind of laying in the weeds for us. Okay? Maybe we don't know exactly who they are, but it's good to be on guard. They might be out there. So it's good to expect the unexpected. I don't know if you can see this, but that guy did not expect that tree to be that big on top of his or her car. And dealing with ambiguity with that hidden driveway. You don't know where it is. You don't know when somebody's coming. Be aware of those hidden agendas. Not everybody is as pure as the driven snow. Okay? Some folks may be out there to sabotage your project. I hate to even consider that, but it could be. There are competing projects out there. There are limited resources, particularly in terms of funding. And you might be fighting for every dollar. So look for that hidden agenda when somebody's at the meeting and they're speaking their own mind and it's not exactly congruent with what you're doing. Now what? I don't know what you do here. No turns. This is the list followers. I've had some experience with folks like this that just check off, did I do A, then B, then C, then D, then E? And there's no room for thinking outside the box. It's very frustrating as a project member, as a project manager. You can't turn, you can't change, you can't adjust. Be wary that we don't become that, okay? When you look at a project scope, or you look at a charter, or you're writing a charter, make sure that there's built-in flexibility so the people that are bright and thinking and working this project for you are given some freedom of movement to make the project even better. It's very frustrating when you get the signs like this. I can't turn around, I can't go forward, I can't go backward. I've got to keep going and checking this list. It doesn't make any sense anymore. I say, don't be that way. Don't be the project lead. Can't talk about road signs without this, okay? Just the other day on my way to work, I ran into this fella. Just before he was going to tell me how many friends I had, or that I was number one. And wouldn't you know it, on the way here today, guy must have gotten his wife's car, and I saw him again. This guy's everywhere. So what do I mean by road? Anybody ever experienced road rage? I didn't ask if you were guilty of road rage. Okay? Experience it. I have. I've seen it. I've seen this guy. I've been that guy, actually. So for us, road rage can be knowledge rage, okay, in the workplace. People don't want you to know what they know. They don't want to share. They don't want to play nice with one another, as Dave Gerber had mentioned earlier. There's road rage out there. There's knowledge rage out there. There are people out there that don't want you to succeed. Just be aware of them. What do I mean by as we advance, the surroundings narrow? As you move up in status or rank or position, the things that you do are more controlled. the ramifications of what you do are far-reaching, are great. The latitude that you have to do them narrows. I used to say to senior officers, boy, I can't wait till I'm a brigade commander or a battalion commander or a chief operating officer. You could do anything you want. No, you can't, because whatever you do is seen by so many and has so much importance. How about the role of the president? You know, you think when you're the president, you can, as kids, we thought, gee, the president, gee, he or she could do anything that they want. And we realize as adults, no, they can't, because everything that they try to do is very, very limited in scope, and they have so many things to control what they do. And that's true for our bosses, for our project leads, if we're not the project lead. If we are the project lead, we recognize that. Lots of good ideas out there. Appreciate all your input. We have to stay within this parameter. I have to do this, or we can only do one of two things. So just be aware that that road narrows as you get older, as you get more senior, too. And the competition becomes fierce. Absolutely. And back to road rage, it's not just us, guys. I saw her, too. Hopefully not on her way to a PMI meeting, and not leaving this one, actually. Dealing with conflict. Part of what we do is, as project managers, anytime you have two people in the same room, you're going to have conflict. It's just a natural thing, okay? So how do we do that? And I looked at some signs that I saw, you've well seen this sign. I'm thinking about, wow, that's conflict avoidance. I'll just go around it. Sometimes that works. Sometimes we need to confront it. Provides for a dangerous intersection. We're going to have to talk to somebody. We're going to have that unpleasant or fierce conversation. There's a great book out there. I don't remember who the author is, but it's called Fierce Conversations. It's really a good book about counseling people and just getting it off your chest and talking to them. Makes you feel so much better and allows you to advance and move forward. And we can mitigate conflict. We can use it to improve ourselves and improve our mission, improve our project. We just have to be aware that conflict is out there and conflict can be used. It can't really be avoided. It's going to be out there. And the plan. I love this sign. Thank you. That's another good piece of information that I wouldn't have been able to pick up on my own. When I saw this sign, though, I thought about my dad. My dad was a college vice president and a reserve Army colonel. Life was interesting at my house. I never got the right answer on how do you spell that? What was I told? Right. Now I could Google it, but I couldn't then. And I think of my father because when he was a college vice president up in New Jersey at Rider University, it was Rider College then, he was in charge of everything. They had two VPs. One was for the dean, for the students, and one was everything else. Well, Dad was everything else. He ran the police department on the campus. He did business and finance. He did everything, construction, you name it. And I remember driving with him on the campus one day, and there was new construction going on. There was a brand new dormitory, and it was occupied. It was along the main drive going into Rider College. And it was a beautiful building, and the students were out walking, and it was a beautiful fall day, but there were no sidewalks, no sidewalks going into the building. It was all dirt, all just trenches, muddy. And I don't know, I was 12 years old or so, and I said, Dad, I've got this beautiful building, and it's obviously occupied, and you know how many sidewalks, and they're tracking in mud. And he said, and I was in my 40s when I realized he had just taught me a lesson. He said, I'll put the sidewalks in once the students tell me where to put them. Once they dig the paths and show me where to go, then I'll pour the concrete. I said, wow, that's pretty wise. Didn't know it at 12, didn't figure it out till I was in my 40s. But it really is a wise way to look at planning. Maybe you don't need to come up with every solution at the outset and know the right answer. Sometimes you need to wait. Maybe a draft means draft. It's not the final. Maybe you just need to spend some time and relook at it and adjust fire as you need to. Gain more intelligence as you go. Improve it. Eventually, of course, they poured the sidewalks right where the students were walking. No right angles. It was exactly where the students found the quickest way to the quickest path to the doors. And I said, wow, that's some smarts there. What can we learn from that? So as we go through this drill, just like the shampoo instructions say, after you go through all that, repeat the process and go through it again. Sometimes a plan is just a plan. okay? And those that have served realize that the plan is only good until the first shot is fired. Then you go to plan B, and then C, and then D. Rarely one way to do things, regardless of what the sign tells you. Real sign. Yeah. Lots of decisions for us to make. But we don't have to make them alone. We have teammates to help us make those decisions. We have our past experiences. We have best practices. We have rules of the road. Lots of things that can tell us. I like this one too. You can always change a bad decision, but you can't change a non-decision. For the love of everything, please decide A or B, yes or no, go or stop, instead of just talking endlessly about what the ramifications might be of a decision. Let's make one. Let's decide to do something. We can always change it. You can always change it. But you can't change a non-decision. You're just stuck in neutral. Analysis paralysis, they used to call it. And we've got road conditions to help guide us. We've got that in our work life too. We talked about guardrails. HOV, I was thinking, gee, maybe we can do more together than we can separately. Maybe we can get to work quicker. Maybe we can advance this project quicker if we work together. Maybe the HOV lane is the way to go. So pay attention to those conditions out there. What's helping us do our project? What's getting in our way? That's a good sign. Anybody ever rent a car? I'm sure some of us have rented cars in our day. I don't know if I've ever rented one from this place, somewhere on the island of Bermuda, I guess. I don't know. But it occurred to me that renting a car is also a bit of a metaphor for us. Do you ever have a job and then change your job and work in a new environment? Right? Maybe you have a new job or you have some new tasks. Well, renting a car, we all know how to drive. So you go to the car rental place, you get your keys, you show your license, you get in the car. What do you do? What do you do? You check things out. You adjust the mirrors. The drive shaft is up here, not down here. Windshield wipers are on this side, not on this side. The lights are over here. You get accustomed to the new car, this different car. We all know how to drive a car, but every car is different. And this isn't the same car we drove to the airport. So it takes some time to familiarize yourself with the new environment or the new set of tasks. Just because we know how to do it doesn't mean we're going to know how to do it exactly the same way with this new vehicle that we have. It's important. And more importantly, remember that sometimes it hurts. Okay, I had to throw that in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it hurts. Okay. Time off. Now my wife will moan and groan because there's not a whole lot of this going on. It's important for us to take time off, to take that rest stop and take a break. Smell those roses. Once I find out where in the yard they are, I'm going to stop and smell them. Fitness and health. My middle son, the one that's not in the military, is a fitness instructor. I obviously am not one of his clients. He used to be a fun kid to have around. Now it's put that cookie down, have a bottle of water. I said, don't you have someplace you have to go? You're bringing me down. It's important for us to stay healthy. I was in the Army for 22 years, did PT, physical training every day, most days. And when I left, I told my boss, I said, PT are just 2 letters in the alphabet to me now. And I've proven that for the last 11 years. Do as I say, not as I do. Take some time to go get fit and stay fit. It helps you get through the day. Rules aren't always fair. We have uneven playing fields. We have uneven pavement. Okay? Adjust to it. Know it. Rules aren't always fair. Somebody's going to have a favorite. It may not be you. Oh well. Do the best you can. Be the best project leader you can be. I'll give you a clue. The first 2 letters mean beware of. Okay? There's some of that out there too. Okay? And you get to be a certain stage in your life or a stage in a project, you recognize where the BS is. It's important to know where it is and to call it out. We used to say, well, I'm just going to raise the red flag on you because I know that that is not true. That is BS. So remember Bob's, and remember this fella. He is out there, or she is out there, and they're willing to shovel it your way if you're willing to take it. So make sure you're not the one on the end of that shovel as well. This is for the Y generation folks of ours. And I encourage you, this is a little bit off the topic, but to find your why, okay? There are many, has anybody found the last job that they ever want to have? Anybody? That's the perfect answer. Just keep growing. Keep looking for that why. Why am I here? What can I be doing? What is it that I can offer? What can I do to make the world better, to make my little sphere a little bit better, to make my project team a little bit better, or my family, or anything that I'm involved with? Find out what your why is. Ask those questions. Ask them every day. What could I be doing that really floats my boat, that puts fuel in my tank, that makes me happiest? And those signs could be worse. We're not looking at those. As I said, I've got a son that got there yesterday, and these are some of the signs. Though actually, he did text his wife yesterday, and here we're worried about him going to Ramadi, the Sunni Triangle, and he texted his wife, who's going to have a baby in October, and he just left, so you can figure that out. And he said he got to meet a celebrity, but he won't tell us who it is. We have to guess. Now, we're not going to hear from him for some time, so I'm pinging his wife, for the love of God, tell us who it is. You're driving us crazy. In Ireland, they had to stop in Ireland to refuel. So as well, my son, he'll see this, but he's not going to like it. You know, guys, sometimes we have a man crush on somebody, okay? I like Sean Connery, okay? I don't love Sean Connery, but I like Sean. I like Tom Cruise. And my son's got a couple of man crushes. And his wife said that, well, it was one of his idols, one of his man crushes. And we're thinking, oh my God, who could it be in Ireland, in Dublin? They're 82nd Airborne stopped to refuel. So we're saying, was it Tom Cruise? And his wife said, no, it was close. It was a Tom. Well, we finally figuring it out. He got to meet Tom Hanks, got his picture with Tom Hanks yesterday. So, hey, the trip isn't starting off too bad, right? He got to meet Tom Hanks on his way to Iraq. That in itself is a pretty good story. And I'll try to edit out the man crush stuff if he ever sees this video. Okay, so now what? We've seen all these signs, and now I don't exactly know what to do next. Thanks, Dave, for all that good wisdom. What do you do? Well, first of all, you stop, okay, and try to figure it out. And the answer is not always clear. Anybody ever get asked this question, honey, how was your day? And you just want to pop up a road sign? I did a lot of that. I did a lot of running around, chasing my tail, repeating what I was doing in the morning and did it again in the afternoon. That's kind of how my day was. Life has no warning signs for us. Another great ironic sign, okay? Our projects don't give us that. We don't get that in the morning. We don't get that warning that there's no warnings. So just be wary and enjoy the journey. Any road will get you there. Are there any questions? With that, I will stop. PowerPoint to a new level here. Thank you and safe travels.
We want to thank Dave very, very much. And on behalf of the chapter, I'd like to present you with this trophy, this plaque.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And watch those road signs.